Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer 2 Quick Match gameplay. This time around we are playing as the Beastmen against the Dark Elves, mostly because I haven't really given Beastmen a fair shake in quite a while, and so I figured I should take him out for a spin. So, going over the build real quick, against Dark Elves I've kind of been running a similar build for a while now, but I wanted to make it a more stable build than what I used to run. My Lord Morgar, of course, a safe, stable pick. Not necessarily the best in combat or anything, but very tanky, of course. He's hard to put down. He's got very high missile resistance, some magic resistance, poison, huge HP regen, all that good stuff. And he does have 2 free summons of Chaos Spawn, as well as Call to Violence and Foe Seeker, so just a decent, cheap, and survivable lore choice. For example, Kazrak, although I do like him for the Chariot play in this matchup, or Beast Lord for the same reason, while they can be a lot of fun, they're simply just so squishy against Dark Elves, so some great gooning options. For my front line, 2 Ungor Spearmen on either flank, 2 Goreherd, and then the Blackhorn Ravagers, Regiment of Renown, Shielded Goreherd here in the center. These guys will out-trade lower-end Dark Elf infantry, and if I fight something like Witch Elves, or in this case Sister of Slaughter, they will not do great, but they're basically just there as fodder for the main strike force on the peripheries. Here in the center, we have the Butchers of Kalkengard, providing a bit of fear, terror, and of course some extra AP punching power. If my opponent decides to say dive in with a Lord on a dragon or something along those lines, these guys could really put a dent in him, or put a dent in things such as Cold One Knights or annoying things like that. 2 Ungor Raiders to zone away harass from especially the Raven Heralds, but also just normal Dark Riders and Shades and any of that sort of stuff. 2 Bray Shamans, one of the Wild who does have Devolve and the Mantle of Gorok, as well as the Jagged Dagger. The other one being a Bray Shaman of Death with Spirit Leech and the Life Leeching, as well as Jagged Dagger as well. So potentially these guys with their chariots, they can really run amok and run over units like Sister of Slaughter very efficiently, and otherwise they can just drop some good spells and they'll be doing okay. They're a great infantry killer, and I've done a video before on why heroic chariots are so good against infantry. They can kill models very easily, so that's really good. On the flanks, we do have Chaos Warhounds with Poison, comboed up with Centaurs with Grey Weapons. On this flank, it is the Sons of Goros Regiment of Renown. Their main benefit is that they have some armor, which not the most relevant against Dark Elves, but they do magic attacks, which is actually very significant because units such as Doomfire Warlocks are immensely powerful in this matchup, as they do have physical resist. My opponent did Vanguard a small force here. He's got 2 Dark Riders with shields, as well as a unit of Doomfire Warlocks over here. Of course, some okay light cap, definitely not something that wants to be fighting these Centaurs with Grey Weapons and Warhounds. Doomfire Warlocks, while very good against, say, Centaurs, are not going to do great against something like the Sons of Goros, whose magic damage is going to bypass that 40% physical resist. But for my main opponent's main army, it's just a horde of Sisters of Slaughter, a single caster, a Sorceress of Fire with Burning Head, as well as Fireball. Sisters of the Singing Doom here for some terror, which is of course brutal, and Lockyer Fellheart coming in on foot. He does have quite a selection of abilities here. The Helm of the Kraken, which of course gives him some HP regen. He's got Merciless Slaver, a leadership debuff, which is nasty for the poor Beastmen, Foe Seeker, Dreaded Duelist, and a Deadly Onslaught. Of course, I'm not going to give him a fight. I'm immediately pulling back. I'm pulling back my infantry, looking to interdict this light cavalry force that I spotted, looking to cut them off with my Warhounds and my Centaurs, trying to catch him out in the open and bring him down. Warhounds are just a smidge faster, so are Centaurs, so we are going to be able to catch them. We're going to be able to start poisoning these guys, and once they're slowed, they're not escaping, and so we're really going to be able to tear them up to shreds, and that's really, really useful. For my army, you can see the Hounds are getting in there. They are really tearing these guys apart, and my opponent is now in a very inconvenient spot. He doesn't want to be here fighting Chaos Warhounds, fighting the Centaurs, and even fighting the Bray Shamans, who are going to be doing a little bit of damage, a little bit of hurt here to these units. And although he's going to try to get a Burning Head here, and he does drop a Doom Bolt, it's just too little too late. These Dark Riders are going to get completely demolished, and our infantry continues retreating. We are going to get some volleys in with the Ungor Raiders, but this is going to be a bit of a misplay since I'm microing on 2 fronts. I'm going to lose a little bit of track here on what's going on, so these Ungor Raiders are going to get a little caught out because the infantry line retreats past them, and then I forget to pull back the Ungors. In the meantime, though, we do get a nice little collapse. You can see the Bray Shaman of the Wild dumping a Devolve here immediately, just melting these units. These Dark Riders, actually not hit by, but the Sorcerers of Fire, the Doomfire Warlocks, and the Sisters of Slaughter, who really have to be hit by this, getting completely demolished, losing huge amounts of HP. The Doomfire Warlocks getting destroyed by the Sons of Goros and forced to immediately rout. So complete demolishment of this pocket of troops. And my opponent, unfortunately, though, one big problem here for me is that although this was a big win for me, elsewhere we kind of flopped. Like I said, I lost track of the Ungor Raiders here, so they get annihilated by the Sisters of the Singing Doom, and these Gors, and Ungor Raiders are not going to be able to hold here. The Ungor Spears are absolutely going to get dumpstered by the Sisters of Slaughter. They're barely going to put a dent in them, and it's going to be ugly on this flank. And over here, the Butchers of Kalkengard getting bogged down, surprisingly just not able to extricate themselves. And I really need them to just escape, but their speed, not quite good enough. Only 50 speed to the 44, so with the poison involved and some charge bonuses, these guys are staying in. But we are able to run this flank down. We're able to get rid of these Dark Riders. All this cav's basically gone. My opponent only has this single pocket of Dark Riders over there. And we are able to remove a very significant portion of his army from the field, which then is going to free up these chariots to go in and hunt some sisters. Elsewhere, in the meantime, we are unfortunately kind of over-investing in killing the Sorcerers of Fire here. What I really should have done is pulled away all my calves sooner. We are going to do that shortly. Here in the pits, in the meantime, we are going to get multiple summons of Chaos Spawn. Of course, one of them coming in because we managed to kill these Witch Elves over there. But the Sisters of Slaughter now getting completely dumpstered. Now, certainly they're very tanky. They've got very high melee defense. It's still 59, which is not a bad number by any means. But, you know, Chaos Spawn, they do hit pretty hard against squishy troops, and they do apply poison themselves. So these guys are going to be in a much worse spot. They're going to start getting torn apart. They're getting pressured by the Ungor Raiders. Of course, the Ungor Raiders are not going to get pressured by the Sisters, but we are able to extricate our cav and come in for a crushing rear charge on these guys. At this stage of the game, my opponent is pretty messed up. He does have over here, he's scoring some successes because of my bad micro. Just got a lot to take care of, but because of my bad micro, my shamans are getting bogged down. This guy over here getting caught by the Sisters. This guy over here kind of getting caught up as well. I was trying to get my Butchers of Kalkengard out at all costs. Over here, the Warhounds are going to attach and go deal with those Dark Riders, which they should be able to do pretty handily. And so at this point, it's just a sweeping advance through my opponent's backline. We're going to get, or through my opponent's troops, I guess. Not even his backline, just his troops in general. But you can see how much damage. The chariots, even though not microed well, we're able to do quite a lot of damage there. Normally what you want is you want your infantry to engage the enemy troops first, and then you just kind of run the chariot back and forth through them. But I just didn't do that, so it didn't look that it'll end up working like that. Regardless, these Sisters of Slaughter here overrunning my Ungor Raiders, so a bit of a misplay there on my part. Definitely shattered two of my shooting units, but we are able to kind of overrun them, get on top of the Sisters of Slaughter now with our dogs, who will be able to start putting a dent in them. As our cav starts pouring in, it's going to be able to deliver some pretty crushing damage to these guys. They are obviously pretty tanky, but the Sons of Gors especially do some magic damage. And we will be able to get at least some Chaos Spawn into this fight, because they are bogged down pretty badly here. They are losing HP at a prodigious rate. The Butchers of Kalkengard are going to get in there before the game ends. My opponent does decide to GG out. So, definitely a bit of a gimmicky build for my opponent. And definitely some things I think that could be, there were definitely some serious misplays on, I think, both sides. For my opponent, trying to Vanguard units against Beastmen is, in my opinion, never a good idea. I think what he might have been concerned about was Cygor play, which certainly can be brutal, but Beastmen have some nasty Vanguard options. They've got some very quick cav, some very quick and brutal melee cav. Centaurs are faster than even Wild Riders, and they are a very solid close quarters combatant. They're Centaurs with great weapons especially, but even normal Centaurs, if they catch out a light cav unit, they will destroy it pretty handily, and they can catch it, especially with Hounds in the mix. So I think that's something you want to be wary of. With Dark Elves, the other possibility, if I'd gone like a full Vanguard build, my opponent would have had several troops. He would have had like 2,000 gold worth of troops off the field, essentially. So I think that was a bit of a misplay there. On my part, getting my Shamans bogged down, I really should have had them running in and out of the Sisters of Slaughter that were on top of my infantry. I should have kept my clump of infantry more compact. The Gors, the Butchers, and the Bray Shamans, I should have kept them all closer to the infantry pocket. I tried to use them alongside the cavalry, but they're really not fast enough. They're really not mobile enough. And so the Butchers got like nothing done, and the Bray Shamans got overextended and killed off or messed up at the end game. So that was just a misplay on my part. There's not much else to say there. The Ungor Raiders, now, they performed rather well when I didn't micro them horribly. Ungor Raiders, I think, are decent. They're not going to say scare off a dragon, but I think if you need to deal with a dragon, you could do throwing axes. Personally, though, I just prefer dealing with stuff like that in melee with things like Sons of Goros, Chaos Warhounds, Butchers of Kalkengard. They're a decent zoning tool against your opponent if they decide to bring dragons, especially if you play a little more cautiously. Obviously, you can't play overextend a whole bunch, play super aggressively, but it is something you can still make work. But otherwise, you know, I think this is a decent build. If my opponent had gone with some heavy armor, that could have become a problem. But I think if your opponent brings a bunch of heavy armor, then you've got potential landing some devolve hits. Still, devolve does a lot of damage to anything basically, and And I say when I say heavy armor, I mean heavily armored infantry specifically, because against Cavs, Sons of Goros, and bunches of Falcon Guard will do a great job. But if your opponent brings, say, a bunch of Black Guard or Executioners, well, actually not even Executioners, Black Guard specifically, it could become a little bit of a challenge, but in that case, you got to use, I think, Devolve, and you got to really micro-reach the hell out of your chariots and try to get some really good value out of them, which you definitely can. At that point, your opponent's much less mobile, he doesn't have the poison, really, to slow you down, he's probably going to be struggling to control you a bit more. And I don't really think Black Guard is that common of a pick, to be honest, because Bestigors will kind of tear him up. But yeah, regardless, well played to my opponent, quadruple W here. I just figured this was a fun little match to put up and show a bit of Beastmen action, because I haven't really given them their fair shake in a while. You can see the Sister Slaughter, when they get on top of your Beastmen infantry, they do some work. So definitely be wary. They are a very potent unit in this matchup, because there's not many Beastmen infantry units. Actually, Beastmen don't have many units at all that do well against them. Sister Slaughter will kind of outtrade things like Goreherd and Goreherd. I think they actually Goreherd and Goreherd with shields, and I think they'll even outtrade Bestigors in the long haul, because once Bestigors lose their charge bonus, they're kind of not that good. It's not something I've tested in a while, but I do believe Sisters actually outtrade Bestigors in the long haul, so that is something worth keeping in mind. They are not a pushover unit at all. But regardless, good game. I do hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you have any comments, any criticism, any questions, as usual, do not hesitate to post them. I will do my best to respond as soon as I can. I do thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.